FatDag is a Weight Watchers leader in Indianapolis, Indiana. However, the views and opinions expressed during this podcast are his own. They do not represent the views of Weight Watchers. And now, here's your host and wingman, FatDag.
Cheers. I am your host, FatDag. You're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at fatdag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, and your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 277 of Wise Advice. Got a lot to catch up on, and I want to kind of just dive right into it. If you haven't already, go ahead and get to your app store. Download the Wise Advice with FatDag app. It is the best way to hear the episode. And so there's a little notification that pops up every time I release one. I'm getting into a little bit of a new schedule. I know when we started the show, the term was we're going to release a show every single day, except for the days that we don't, because I firmly believe that you need the accountability. Let's face it, I do as well. We all need the accountability daily. You know, focus comes and goes, and the more we can remind ourselves that we started this journey, the better off we're going to be. So the term obviously early on was we're going to do a show every single day, except for the days that we don't. That worked well for a while, and then schedules kind of picked up, and now we're in the mode where I've got a new schedule released. I put it in the Wise Wingman group. Here we are Monday, getting this episode out. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you should be able to expect new releases. That's my game plan. I want to kind of rock into that. Tuesdays, Thursday, I do my in-person workshop here in Indianapolis. If you're in the area, I appreciate you always popping in. But get the app, and you'll notice that when a new episode is released, like I said, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we can let's plan on that for a little bit. Also want to thank all of you in the Discord community, in the Patreon community. Some of you stepped up. We do a chat every single Monday in Discord at 3 to 4 Eastern time. We come in for an hour. We just kind of get some refocus. That has not changed. So if you're a patron already, thank you for doing that. If you're not, go over to click on fatdag.com, click on Become a Patron, and you can do that. Also released this month, patrons have access to my calendar. That's right. You can go ahead and jump on my calendar for a 30-minute time slot anywhere in the month of October. And then we just kind of one-on-one peel back the onion as to what's going on. How can I help you? How can I keep you accountable? How can we help each other on this journey? So appreciate all of you in the Patreon community for stepping up and being wingman. That's what keeps the show going. That's what keeps me rolling into retirement. So I appreciate all of your support for that. Without any further ado, let's dive into this. You probably notice if you're in the wingman community, you notice that people say, I sent an email in, and I haven't heard it. And well, here's one of those folks as well. It's an incredibly inspiring email. You're going to love it. Tiffany, those of you may know Tiffany. Tiffany writes in at Santa Rosa, California. She says, hello, my name is Tiffany. I'm 38 years old, and I'm disabled. I've been disabled since I was 9 months old from falling on my head. I had a stroke. I was in a coma for 31 days. I could have died, but I lived. I've been called names like retard or four eyes for most of my young life. My teachers, both in middle school and high school, didn't think that I would graduate. They told my parents I should be put in special needs school, but my parents told them they wanted me mainstreamed like the other kids. I gained a lot of weight during this time because my mom and my grandmother got me addicted to soda. I also became an emotional eater due to all of the name calling or verbal assault towards me. My family life was not the best either. As my parents fought over money and my medical needs, I had no choice but to hear them argue over me. So I ate away my feelings of sadness and disappointment over me not being the child that my sister was. I felt that my parents thought my older sister was perfect. She was around anyway to hear my parents and to save me from their verbal abuse to me and to each other. My weight gain continued throughout high school. I thought the bullying would stop, but it only got worse. I loved mac and cheese. That was my thing. It was easy to cook. So I drank a 2-liter regular soda a day with my box of mac and cheese. That's a 70-point day of comfort, which in the long run had the opposite effect, as you know. My grandmother was not a cook. Burger King or McDonald's were the restaurants of choice. It was 25 points for breakfast a day for 6 days a week because our parents sent us to our house every summer. Back in the high school, I did end up graduating to the surprise of my instructors. I got highest honors, a presidential award, and a scholarship. I went to college where food was still my friend, but I found real friends there in the disabled community, and they accepted me as I was. My father passed away in 2004. We didn't get along as I felt he abandoned me to go to Vietnam for an unknown reason. He passed while there getting drunk and falling off a boat. I told a therapist that day, the day before he died, that I wished he would die because he wasn't around anyway. The next day, May 16th, 2004, he died. I laughed at first when Mom told me, and then I stopped talking. I continued to eat my feelings and I drank soda. I didn't talk until I met an instructor at the JC here in Santa Rosa. I was not in his class at the time. One of my friends was. I was outside where I would later learn was his office. I was in a state of shock because my boyfriend broke up with me on the day which happened to be the anniversary of my father's death. I was sitting on the ground, crying. I was sitting there because I was returning a book that my friend wanted to give back to the teacher. I didn't know this teacher yet, or that he even saw me there. The teacher must have seen me crying because he looked over and our eyes met. Then he came out of his office and he sat next to me. He didn't know what to say at first, so I looked at him and asked him in a tearful voice what he was doing. He asked me what was wrong, but I didn't say anything at first. He remained seated on the ground like I was. With a sigh, I said, "My father passed away 2 years ago today. My boyfriend broke up with me today, and I have no idea if I'm going to pass the class that I'm in." He looked at me, and the only thing he asked me was if my boyfriend knew how special I was. I didn't know that he was the person that would change my life forever. This teacher, whose class I took the following semester, changed the way I thought about myself. He taught me how to have confidence in my studies as well as myself. He was also the first teacher that taught me in a way I could learn instead of teaching in a way I was expected to. He became my mentor. Along with the encouragement of Keith, I also received assistance through the Disabled Resource Center at the college. There I met Lee Spitzer, who was a student and later a math tutor. Lee and I hung out with many of the same people during breaks or study time. We ate lunch together and talked to get to know each other. I didn't know he would eventually become my best friend. I was still eating my emotions with Snickers bars as well as soda. I was 290 pounds at the time, and it didn't faze me because I didn't think I could change it. My friends didn't judge me either. Neither did my next boyfriend, though. They thought I was perfect, and they thought I was perfect the way I was. My next boyfriend ended up dying suddenly from cancer after serving in the army in Afghanistan. He was also in the Army Reserve at the time of his death. Lee came to the funeral with me as well as some of my other friends. I was devastated. He was my one. Later, I would read a Facebook message from Lee telling me he would be there for me whenever and that he loved me. It made me at first think, oh, okay, he likes me. I figured out I was just vulnerable and lonely and that he meant platonic love. I was very happy at the time because I needed a friend instead of a lover so soon after my boyfriend's death. I moved out of my parents' house in 2008 into my own apartment in Santa Rosa, 45 minutes away. I was still addicted to the soda and my box of mac and cheese. I had no clue what vegetables were or that I was not in a good state of health until Lee told me about WW. He began to slowly help me change my habits. We started first with diet soda instead of regular, and later we worked on trying to phase out soda altogether. He taught me about Crystal Light and other flavor enhancers that didn't have sugar or calories and didn't cost as much as soda. Today, I now drink mostly water and I aim for 1 soda a week. This is a big change from 13 weeks ago to just today. Also, I've begun to eat single-size meals with vegetables. I've also joined WW Online and been changing my lifestyle. through WW, I've lost 2 pounds. Yay for me. I'm so happy. I joined the Wingman group because I'm already feeling the benefits of Wingman. I've learned that it's very hard to do this journey on my own. Thank you to everyone for your support. But a special thanks goes to my best friend for inviting me to be a Wingman on the podcast. I'm never going back to the way I was because I have quit eating mac and cheese almost altogether and drinking 2-liter bottles of soda. I'm also beginning to have a love for myself that was missing for many years of my life. Tiffany. Well, Tiffany, I know you wrote this a month or so ago, and I'm just now getting into the inbox to read it, and I can tell you, you are incredible. You know that already, which is kind of how you got to writing this. But what's really fascinating in your story is that other people along your journey have recognized the incredible value you bring to this world. Your teacher, Lee, the Wingman community, each of them have recognized things in you that you're now starting to believe. That's what I say when I tell people I believe in you. That's kind of the scenario that's playing out right here. Tiffany, other people believed in you long before you believed in yourself, and you allowed them to believe in you for such a period of time where suddenly, that belief transfers from them into you, and you start believing in yourself as well. You're an incredible human being. What you've gone through, I don't think we would wish on any single person, but you're a champion. You're a survivor. You graduated. You live on your own. You've put together a very articulate email outlining exactly what's going on in your life chronologically. You know, there are plenty of other people who can't do that. And you've done it. You've opened your heart to this wise Wingman community, and you've asked for help. I think the community has responded in such a way where you now understand that we're here for you. That's what this community is all about. None of us are perfect. None of us have all the answers. Every single day, we just wake up and go, what can I do today to make today better? You found a way to do that. And so through your journey and through the peer support that you found through Lee, and I want to kind of go on a tangent here about Lee. Lee's an incredible human being, and the fact that he's taken a liking to you as a friend, as your best friend, to care about you, to educate you, to bring you into our community, says an awful lot about that man as well. And I think you already know this, that people care about you, and there are some special people on the planet. What we have to do is we have to look for all of the things in our life that are the signs that we're headed in the right direction, and follow those signs. Lee is that sign for you. This Wingman community is that sign for you. That teacher is that sign for you. You follow the path that they set up for you and walk with them together to completely change your life. There are plenty of instances in every single one of our lives where things aren't exactly as we want them to be. As we dwell on them, as we give them the attention they don't deserve, we start walking a different path. We start suddenly thinking about, how could my life be better? How could I change this? What would it be like if? And that's not what we need to do. What we have to do is recognize the things that are going right, do more of them, associate with the people who support us and promote us and heal us and bring us into communities that will do all of that as well. And we continue to do that. I'm incredibly proud of your lifestyle change. I've watched your journey through the Wingman group, and we, of course, you and I, we chat back and forth quite a bit in Facebook. But I've watched your journey, and regardless of what the scale says, and I'm proud of you for your 2-pound loss, and I know it's a little bit more than that because I've watched. But what I'm more proud of is that you've gotten to a point in your life where you recognize through the help of others, where you recognize that you can do things differently. You can eat better. It doesn't matter what medical diagnosis we have. It doesn't matter what trauma is going on in our life. It doesn't matter what people in our life are doing us wrong. It doesn't matter all of the crazy things that come at us at 1,000,000 miles an hour. None of that matters if you understand that your destiny is yours and you can make better choices. With all the crazy going on, you have the ability to choose better. And you've done that. Now, notice I didn't say you have the ability to choose perfectly. I didn't say that. What I said, you had the ability to choose perfectly. And so, Tiffany, what I want you to do, continue in your study. What I want you to do is go through, we talked a little bit before, I want you to continue with your daily meditation exercise where you just once a day, just regroup for just a minute or two and just kind of take a deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And so pausing just a moment to recognize that you have changed things in your life. You know what that means? That puts you in control. If you have the ability to change any single thing in your life, that's a shift of control back to you. And now we just continue to make slow improvements along that way and say, I can do this. Whether it's getting rid of a complete box of mac and cheese, whether it's moving from soda to diet, from soda to water, all of those tiny changes add up. But the important thing about those tiny changes is that you made them. People can tell you to make changes. People can suggest how to make changes. People can even show you what to do, but no one can do it for you. You have done it. You have made slow, incremental change. You are a complete success and a rock star on this journey. The hard lessons that you've been dealt in life, you've handled like a champ. That's your life, and you have embraced it, and now here you are taking it back. Taking control of everything right in your life. Tiffany, congratulations. Thank you for being an incredible wingman. Thank you for articulating well the painful journey that you've walked. It doesn't have to continue down that path. It can continue on whatever path you take the next step towards. Thanks. Out of Columbia, Missouri, Ray writes in. She says, "Hi, FatDag. I followed your show since November of 2017, and I just wanted to write in and share my story. I've been a WW member on and off since 2011 when I made it to within 15 pounds of my goal, and then I quit. I think my reasoning at the time was that I had the tools, and I thought I could do this on my own. It wasn't until this past fall, at almost 20 pounds heavier than my original starting weight in 2011, that I really took charge of my health and decided that I needed to make this decision to stick with it because I knew that it worked. One of my friends joined WW with me, a girl who had known me since early grade school and had watched me struggle with weight loss and who had reasons of her own to now join for herself. She hit goal earlier this year, and I'm over the moon with excitement for her, but I've grown annoyed with myself because for the past 2 months, I have yo-yoed back between the same 2 pounds. I know I should not complain because I'm down 43 pounds since the start of this program, but I'm frustrated. I'm working the program. I'm drinking my water. I gave up soda entirely, and I've been extremely diligent with tracking. I've often thought about giving up, but remember that that I not only have my friend watching me, the girl who has sacrificed time with her husband and 3 sons to be with me every week, who has responded to all of my worries and has talked me down when I wanted to throw in the towel and eat something that would put my week into the negative. I've also shown her support. Please don't think that this was a one-sided relationship, but all of the people at my Weight Watchers meeting, they know my name and they count on me to show up each week just as I count on them to show up each week for me. We have such an amazing leader, an amazing group of people that it's difficult for me not to get emotional about them because I have learned the horror stories about unsupportive groups or groups that someone is unable to resonate with. While I will always accept advice in any capacity, I want to give myself a dose of my own advice and share these few things that I remind myself of when I'm doing this. Number 1, you are worth it. Number 2, you are beautiful. You have fat, but it does not define you. When you feel like giving up, remind yourself how far you've come. Keep working the program. Even when you don't see the success you want, focus. Get out your measuring cups again, get on your food scale, and take it back to the basics. Number 6, don't be too critical of yourself. Show up to your meetings. If you gained, you gained, whether you get on the scale or not, whether you own it or not. You never know when you will inspire someone else. I'm so glad that I found your show. I look forward to my drive to work and my lunch break walk every day. I appreciate you keeping me accountable. And then here's an update. Ray writes, it says, Dear FatDag, I'm delighted to email you this morning to tell you that I hit my lifetime achievement last night. The persistence and the perseverance really paid off because I knew to listen to my body and to know when it was time to quit, despite what the numbers on the scale told me. Although, let's be honest, I weighed in at 133, which I have not weighed since I was 12 years old, and I was so stoked to see that number. I have officially lost 62 pounds, and I've kept it off in maintenance, and now I'm not only ready to begin the rest of my journey, but my life. I sincerely appreciate all of the support you provide, everyone at WW. Even though I was the one who made the choice to lose the weight, it has made such a difference to have an awesome wingman like you cheering me on with your inspirational podcast. From the very bottom of my heart, thank you. Yours truly, Ray. Well, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. And what I read and heard in your note was the mental victory. I can hear that. I can hear when you are mentally locked in. I can hear when you're mentally in a good place. Not that I have any training in that, but I've read thousands of emails, and I understand there are subtle things people say that make me go, this person gets it. And one of those things that you said is very powerful, is that you're ready to get on with the rest of your journey, or your life. And so we realize this is a lifetime process. And so there will be days when we walk parallel paths with other people and they have different levels of success than we do. And as we look to our left and to our right, we can see people who are having different levels of success. Some are having more success. Some are having less success. So all around you, there are varying people having success. And when we're not the one leading the charge, it kind of gets to us. But you got to realize is what you're looking at when you watch one other person have success is there are thousands of people looking at you and going, man, I just wish I could have that. And we forget that sometimes. Sometimes we believe that as we watch, a single person go out and conquer it, we just want to go as fast as they are. But what we don't realize is that we're making the change for us. We're making that lifestyle change where suddenly 62 pounds is gone. Suddenly we clock in at 133 pounds, a completely different person. Giving up doesn't give you that. Giving up does not get the scale to the lowest point in your adult life. That's not what giving up does. Giving up and saying, I no longer want to do this, in no way, shape, or form is a recipe for success. We're on episode 277 here yet. I'll have to go back and listen. I don't believe I've ever said the best way to do this is to quit and give up and not care. I'm quite confident I've never said that. And so what that means is I didn't ever say the way to success is to be completely perfect. I never said that either. But the way to be perfect is to know that every single thing you do every single day matters. It all adds up. It all goes into this thing we call our journey. We have support along the way. We check into a workshop, many of us, I believe that's extremely critical. I need to sit in a room of other people who understand it. I need to sit there and go, I'm here. And I know in that room, I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. I'm somewhere in the middle. And the reality is that there isn't a rank and file. I think a lot of us think there is, but there's not a rank and file. This is an individual journey. So you can't say, this person's the best, this person's not. So what you say, and I'm somewhere in the middle, what you say is, I am the best for me right now. As I said a second ago, every single person in that room is looking at someone else for inspiration. The person who's failing today could be the person that the brand new person's looking at going, I want to be there someday. So that meeting, as much as we check in for the inspiration, other people need to see us there as well. I'm so glad that you found an amazing group, an amazing coach to walk this journey with you, because I think that's key. We all want this. There isn't a single person who listens to this podcast that doesn't go, I really want to be at goal someday. Otherwise, you would just quit listening and you'd go listen to real true crime or something, But the reality is you're listening to this podcast because you believe that there is hope for you. You believe there is a future where this is not part of your story. You believe there's a day when you're going to stand on the scale and say, I did this. You may not believe emphatically right now. I do for you, but you have a glimmer of hope. Very, very back, at least in the very, very back of your head, you have a tiny glimmer of hope that says, I can do this, and I'm going to continue to show up every single day because that's what it takes to win. And so as we walk this journey, a lot of us, we look for advice from other people, right? We always say, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? Tell me what you did. Tell me what the secret is. And so we're asking them like there's this magic formula that if we only knew, we would just do this and it would be over. I promise you that magic formula doesn't exist in the way that you think it does. The magic formula is different for every single one of us. The magic formula is by you taking all of the things you're doing right, compiling them to a list, and reading them often. You are worth it. You are beautiful. You have fat, but it doesn't define you. When you feel like giving up, remind yourself how far you've come. Work the program. Even if you don't see success, focus. Start from day one. Don't be too critical. Show up to your meetings. You weigh the same whether you hop on the scale or not. That advice that you've given to yourself is powerful. I want every single one of you right now, pretend your best friend is looking at you in amazement. How? How did you do that? And you're now in charge of giving them a couple tips. Instead of giving it to them, give it to yourself. Tell yourself all the things you did properly and repeat them. Right? Keep up the amazing work. I'm so proud of you. You didn't do this on accident. You did this deliberately, and you're going to continue to rock your amazing life. I'm so proud of you. Keep up the great work. Out of New York, Pam writes in and says, hey, FatDag, so here I am writing to you to thank you for the support and the insight you have given me through your fabulous podcast. What do I mean by support and insight? The support and insight come from steady, balanced advice that you provide constantly, directing me to stay dialed in. Having your voice in my head allows me to replace some other voices that I hear that they're telling me to celebrate everything with food and to start over tomorrow. Returning to WW in January 2018 was a great choice for me. Not only had Freestyle been introduced, but WW had an app with a scanner. 0 Point Foods and an easy-to-use app made me smile because back in 1987 when I started, only the vegetables were 0 points, and to plan effectively, I had to use paper tracker with cardboard slider, the gadget, to tabulate the points. The program worked, but tracking was tedious. And as much as I like veggies, I really appreciate 0 Point protein and the fruit choices. It's your podcast that has provided me with a great new vocabulary. Good focus is foundational by helping me realize how a strong focus helps me stay at goal. And your friendly reminder of when you're out of points, stop eating points, is just brilliant. It makes me smile when you say it and when I remind myself. Finally, when complacency sets in, I recognize it early on because your description of the complacency dynamic keeps me on the program. As I sit here writing, I'm a couple pounds above goal, but I'll be back at goal by my next weigh-in. I've been vacationing 4 trips since January 1st and enjoying more food and wine than usual. Not to worry. I'm dialed in, and I'll be attending my meeting tomorrow night without a weigh-in. Meetings are grounding for me. Listening to your podcast as I travel and exercise keeps me dialed in. Thank you for your service and all you do for the WW community and the Wise Wingman, Pam. Pam, thank you for writing in, and congratulations on goal. Congratulations on the mental fortitude it takes to stay there. You know, a pound here, a pound there on a vacation trip. I think that's perfectly acceptable and normal. The key is you understand the relationship. You understand the cause and effect. You understand that the hitting the workshop is what's going to continue to keep you to be successful. Keep on with your amazing journey. I think it's interesting that you bring us all the way back to 1987. I think many of us remember the cardboard slider and having to write things down on paper, and so the basic premise of the program hasn't changed. The basic premise of the program is what? It's accountability. It's writing things down and be accountable to what you have. It's figuring out what they truly mean to you in your body. Whether it's because it had too much fiber, too much protein, whether it's 0 points, the key ingredient to this entire thing is accountability. We find that through community support. We find that through our workshop. We find that through the podcast. We find that through the Wise Wingman Facebook group. We find different ways to hold ourselves accountable. A good friend of mine, Rick Monroe, says, I just want to be held accountable. And I agree. I'm with, I just need someone to say, hey, Mike, here's the game plan. Hey, Pam, here's the game plan. Remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. It's kind of basic and it's easy for us to dismiss at times, but the true premise behind that is we have to make some hard decisions in our day to figure out what is more important. Is it more important to have a big breakfast and not have dinner, or however you want to work it? But is it more important for you to just stay accountable and make a plan? Recognizing the complacency trap, I think it's episode 72, all the way back then, recognizing what that feels and looks like takes some time for some of us. I get that, And so, but recognizing that we're never, ever, ever, ever going to quit this journey, that we no longer need to completely celebrate with food. I want to kick lately to actually define food. Much of what we eat is not food. It's certainly edible, right? But much of the nutritional value in the things we eat is buried so deep in it, and it's so covered with all the other things we don't need that it's just a carrier for these tiny little bits of nutrients. If we could switch to just completely eating true, honest, real food, it would be completely different. But, of course, our society is certainly, the deck is stacked against us in that regard, but doesn't mean we can't make the change. Pam, keep up the amazing work. You're dialed in, you're focused, you're going to hit your workshop. I have complete confidence in you. I continue to believe in you, and it's truly an honor to read your email and celebrate with you. Celebrating's fun, isn't it? What is it that you're celebrating? I ask that at the end of every episode, but take a second. Send me a tweet. Send me something on Facebook. What is it that you're celebrating? I opened up earlier in the show and I started talking about some of the things that we have to continue to do, the things that we do right. The things we do right, we have to do more of. So I ask you, what is it that you're celebrating? If you get to that question and you're pausing because you don't know, I need you to dig deep. I need you to tell me why and what is you're celebrating. What's the best thing you've done today? Let's share it on the air. Go to fatdag.com, click on the Wise Advice Podcast link, send in your celebrations. I want you to send them in because that's what keeps this show going. If you've noticed, this show is mostly user content driven. You don't write in, there's no new episode. And with my game plan of ramping up production, I'm going to need every little bit of it there is. Email in onair@fatdag.com. I want you to email celebrations, and I actually really want you to tell me how proud of you are. I want you to be proud of what you're doing. that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. On behalf of my producers, Heather and Lisa, we wish you good focus. Thank you for listening to the Wise Advice Podcast. Did you know for as little as $1 a month, you can take the next step as a wingman and support the show? Visit FatDag.com, click on Become a Patron today.